Which brings me to one of the points that you talk about, which is identity driven leadership.
Yep.
Uh, can you talk to me about what is identity driven leadership?
Yeah. So for me, so often, and this is true across cultures and across industries, we have been, and we collectively as human beings, I think, have been given a very specific image of what a leader looks like. So that can be quite physically how they dress, how they speak, what they look like in their grooming, the way they carry themselves, their personality traits, all of these things. And yes, it won't be the same in every country or every culture, but at least here in the West, typically when someone talks about a leader, we've been given these images of someone who's a middle-aged white man, 6 feet tall, wearing a suit, and usually very aggressive and slightly rude to the people around him, and very sort of outgoing and gregarious, and all of that we sometimes internalize and think, oh my gosh, well, if I don't look that way, or if I don't act that way, if I didn't go to that university, or if I don't want to lead in that way, then I can't be a leader. And the reality is, and again, this is now based on my experience, across industries, across sectors, across the world, literally leadership looks as different as there are people in the world. But the problem is that we are given archetypes that we think that's what a leader is supposed to be like. So we feel that we have to conform to that. So I think first and foremost, it's questioning what have we assumed a leader is supposed to be like, supposed to act like? And then asking the more important question is, well, what do I want to be like? What kind of leader do I want to be? Do I want to be the kind that inspires and to, creates these great big town hall messages? Or am I the type of person who wants to develop more intimate relationships and sort of walk the halls of my company? Or am I a more introverted leader where doing anything sort of public facing is a bit difficult, but I want to be able to reach out to my team members. And so I'll do things maybe like sending an email instead, right? So these are all very small examples, but the key here is first and foremost is to understand what kind of leader you want to be. What are your values going to be? Do you want to create a sort of a very aggressive culture, or do you want to create a collaborative culture? What do you care about? What kind of, culture you want to create? What values are going to infuse that? And then also, what kind of leader are you going to be when you are delivering your leadership style? Are you going to be collaborative or combative? Are you going to be more extroverted or more introverted and listening? And this is, like I said, the answers to these questions will be different for everybody. But the key is to remember that who you are by this point in your life is pretty much fixed, right? Yes, we can all make improvements on the margins, and not, if you want to change, you can change anything. But generally, your strengths and your blind spots by the time you're 30, 40, 50 are pretty much settled into who you are. So instead of fighting against that constantly and feeling, oh God, but I'm an introvert and I have to force myself to be an extrovert, or I'm a really good strategic thinker, but now I have to force myself to become wedded into the details and into the weeds. You can do it. But again, that friction and that energy and that effort that goes into becoming someone you're not is wasted energy, because the time it takes you to do that will be time that you can't be the best version of the leader you would naturally be. So if you are more naturally introverted, if you are more naturally collaborative, if you are more naturally anything, then find a way to bring that to the forefront instead of feeling like you have to conform to somebody else's image or the previous CEO's way of doing things, or the way that leaders are in your industry, or whatever that is. Again, question why you think you have to change. And then, yes, sometimes there will be good reasons to potentially change, but a lot of the times we think we do and we don't need to. So understand what your values are, understand what your specific strengths are, and then find a way to weave that in. Again, like we were saying earlier, find a way to weave that into your leadership style, because different people will also resonate with different styles, right? Every human being is different. So not every human being is going to want to be inspired all the time, or not everybody's going to want to, a boss who shouts at them in response to that kind of behavior. It's going to be different. So own who you are, really understand who that is, what your strengths are, what your blind spots are, and then don't be afraid to be that type of a leader. As long as you're not an asshole, like, don't be a horrible person. But I think, again, fundamentally, if you're even asking yourself these questions, then you're not going to be an asshole, right? So it's okay to be who you are. I give you permission to be the type of leader you want to be and that you would naturally be, instead of conforming to a mold that somebody else has put out there.